The chair recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Paul, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. Speaker, I ask my fellow colleagues, how long will the war go on before Congress notices? We have been bombing and occupying Iraq since 1991, longer than the occupation of Japan after World War II. And Iraq has never committed aggression against the United States. The recent escalation of bombing in Iraq has caused civilian casualties to mount. The Clinton administration claims UN Resolution 687, passed in 1991, gives him the legal authority to continue this war. We have perpetuated hostilities and sanctions for more than 8 years on a country that has never threatened our security, and the legal justification comes from not the U.S. Congress, as the Constitution demands, but from a clearly unconstitutional authority, the United Nations. In the past several months, the airways have been filled with members of Congress restating their fidelity to their oath of office to uphold the Constitution. That's good, and I'm sure it's done with the best of intentions. But when it comes to explaining our constitutional responsibility to make sure unconstitutional sexual harassment laws are thoroughly enforced while disregarding most people's instincts toward protecting privacy, it seems to be overstating a point compared to our apathy toward the usurping of congressional power to declare and wage war. Now, that's something we ought to be concerned about. A major reason for the American Revolution was to abolish the king's power to wage war, tax, and invade personal privacy without representation and due process of law. For most of our history, our presidents and our Congresses understood that war was a prerogative of the congressional authority alone. Even minimal military interventions by our early presidents were, for the most part, done only with congressional approval. This all changed after World War II with our membership in the United Nations. As bad as it is to allow our presidents to usurp congressional authority to wage war, it's much worse for the president to share this sovereign right with an international organization that requires us to pay more than our fair share while we get a vote no greater than the rest. The Constitution has been blatantly ignored by the President, while Congress has acquiesced in endorsing the 8-year war against Iraq. The War Powers Resolution of 1973 has done nothing to keep our presidents from policing the world, spending billions of dollars, killing many innocent people, and jeopardizing the very troops that should be defending America. The continual ranting about stopping Hussein, who is totally defenseless against our attacks, from developing weapons of mass destruction, ignores the fact that more than 30,000 very real nuclear warheads are floating around the old Soviet empire. Our foolish policy in Iraq invites terrorist attacks against U.S. territory and incites the Islamic fundamentalists against us. As a consequence, our efforts to develop long-term peaceful relations with Russia is now ending. This policy cannot enhance world peace, but instead of changing it, the President's about to expand it in another no-win, centuries-old fight in Kosovo. It's time for Congress to declare its interest in the Constitution and take responsibility on issues that matter, like the war powers. Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman's time has expired. All time has expired, and pursuant to Clause 12 of Rule 1, the Chair declares the House in recess until 2 p.m. today.